Welcome back to Blue's Garden, making homestyle raspberry jam. I grow my own raspberries. You could buy them from the store, but I grow my own, and mine are an everbearing. And sometime around June, I start to see the blossoms, and by mid-July, I am picking raspberries, fresh from the vine. I usually end up about half a pint to a pint early on. Some of that goes for fresh for the house, and some of it I put in freezer. I toss them all in Ziploc bags and toss them in the freezer. If I don't eat something that day, I'll put whatever's left over into the freezer in a Ziploc. I will keep picking, and probably by August, September, I'm picking a full pint daily, and that's for fresh, and a full pint for the freezer. So eventually I'm going to end up with quite a lot in my freezer. Again, whatever I don't eat that day goes into the freezer the next day. You will see that eventually you end up with quite a lot of frozen fruit. And at some point, it's time in the fall to make some jam. I will, the day before, or maybe even 2 nights before, I will take all of the berries out of the freezer and let them thaw on my counter. And then that weekend is the time. I begin by taking all of the thawed fruit and into a pot. I will start to let that boil, stirring constantly. I am going to add some Sure-Gel pectin, and I will thoroughly mix that in. There are directions on the package, so if you don't remember any of this, feel free to just follow along or even Google it. You'll find directions online. Bring all of that berry mixture and the pectin to a boil. And then the next thing I do is mash down the berries so that they are not quite as whole. I get them squeezed out, break them up some more, and then bring that back to a boil. When I measured my liquid, I remember how much it is, and the recipe calls for 5 cups of berry mixture to 7 cups of sugar, and I will bring that back to a boil. When I bring that back to the boil, I then begin to skim off some foam. Now, when I add the sugar, I immediately add a little pat of butter, and that actually helps reduce the foaming. While that's back to a rolling boil, and that means if you stir it, it will not stop boiling. A rolling boil, I remove all of the remaining foam that's in there, and I take all my jars and get them ready for canning, or getting ready for adding the liquid. And then I put a funnel in, a wide mouth funnel that's perfect for canning, and I make sure never to get any of the liquid on the rims. That's important. We'll clean that up later if you do get a little, but the funnel really helps keep the liquid from getting on the jars at all, and that's what helps it get a good seal and also allow you to get something that's fresh and does not turn in any way, mold or anything. I get every last bit out I can, and that helps make up my jam. Now, the next thing to do, like I mentioned, make really, really sure that the rims are clean, and then I add the lids and rings, which you can see that have been in a pot sterilizing. They're right there in the background. Lids and rings. Again, make sure that the rims are clean. Add your lids and rings, and I begin to tighten everything. Now, as the jars are heating up because of the liquid, be careful. You don't want to burn yourself. But as you're going, as the jars cool now, you're going to keep tightening. And this is a process that is maybe once every 10 minutes. Tighten all your jars again as they cool. You will hear some pops, and on these type of lids, if you notice that they pucker down or you hear the pop, that's a good sign. That means that you've got a very good seal. And again, about every 10, 15 minutes while it's cooling, eventually it's once an hour, you go down and tighten them all. And soon enough, success. you have yourself raspberry jam. Thanks, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more Blues Garden tips.